Master, in this year's mainland sect competition, our sect's disciples have won first place again. Chu Yuan. Kick. All the labor and capital will be kicked out of the sect. Master, we can't kick anymore. The disciples who were kicked out before have all established cultivation holy sites. If we continue to kick, all the holy sites in the mainland will be taken over by our sect. Chu Yuan. I really just want to teach disabled disciples. Why are you all playing me? This book is also known as, I cultivated from Yuaning to mortals, my disciples are all useless materials, different cultivators, I'm really not a big shot, I only take in useless material disciples, please, don't brain tease me, keywords of the novel. No one really thinks that the master is immortal. No pop-ups, no one really thinks that the master is immortal. Download the full text, no one really thinks that the master is immortal. Latest chapter reading. Chapter 1. The Patriarch of Wudao Sect. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. The Patriarch of Wudao Sect Jinwu rises to the east. Tianwu Mountain. On a small path at the top of the mountain, there stands a majestic and huge mountain gate. Above the mountain gate, 3 large characters resembling dragons and snakes depict the Wudao sect. Originally, there were no sects on Tianwu Mountain. Half a month ago, with a bolt from the blue, the Wudao sect was born, unknown and unknown. Belonging to the 3-no sect with no rank, license, and no smoking. On this day, 2 figures stood below the mountain gate. Luoer, this is the land of the sect. There is no Daoist sect. Walking up from here, you can directly reach the main hall of the sect. You can go up on your own, familiarize yourself with the various regions of the sect, and then go to the Househan Palace to choose one as your sleeping quarters. The person speaking appeared to be only in his 20s, dressed in a snow-white robe, with long hair like ink, handsome in appearance, and ethereal in temperament, like a fairy walking in the mortal world. His name is Chu Yuan. Master of the Wudao sect. Between his words, another figure spoke up. I will strictly abide by your master's orders. I saw this person who was about the same age as Chu Yuan, with sword eyebrows and starry eyes, dressed in a blue flowing crane cloud robe, holding a long sword, expressionless, exuding a sense of loneliness and pride. His name is Yi Luo. He is a recent disciple of Chu Yuan. He is also the only disciple of the Wudao sect. Wudao sect senior brother. Chu Yuan glanced at his disciple, waved his hand, opened his lips lightly, and spat out 2 words. Let's go. Yi Luo arched his hand and said, Master, that disciple has gone first. Please come back later and pay respects. After speaking, holding the sword, he walked towards the mountain. Chu Yuan looked at Yi Luo's departing figure, and the light breeze on her face disappeared without a trace, replaced by joy. It's been half a month now, and finally I've found someone with such low qualifications that there's no limit to it. It's too difficult. He murmured to himself. Images reappeared in my mind. Chu Yuan was not originally from this world. Half a month ago, due to an accident, he traveled to this world. This world is not a world ruled by ordinary people. But it is a world with gods, demons, and ghosts, where all nations stand tall, sects run rampant, and the strong are revered. The number is Xinqing continent. Like the vast masses of travelers, Chu Yuan also possesses a system. Just his system is a bit peculiar. Chu Yuan silently called out to the system in her heart. A deep blue screen visible only to him instantly condensed. The most abandoned sect system in history, this system is committed to creating the most abandoned sect in history. The host is requested to widely recruit disciples and teach them to be abandoned in order to achieve the system indicators. Note. Abolishing a disciple will reward the host with a 1-level small realm, while becoming a disciple will deduct the host's own 1-level large realm. Please do not make mistakes on your own. Chu Yuan automatically ignored this paragraph. Keep looking down. Personal panel, host. Chu Yuan, Sect. Wudao Sect, Cultivation. Yuanying Realm, Early Stage, Current Disciple. One person, Note. Classification of cultivation levels, including Qi Refining Level, Foundation Building Level, Golden Core Level, Yuanying Level, Shenhua Level, and Jiedu Level, Note. The sect will be tested once a year to determine whether the host has taught or disabled disciples, or whether they have taught or completed disciples. All interpretation rights belong to the system. This is the peculiar system of Chu Yuan. As long as you defeat a disciple, you can achieve a first-level elevation in the realm. That is to say, as long as he deposes 3 disciples, he can elevate to a great level. Although the system is a bit peculiar, for Chu Yuan, the system is very suitable for him. If Chu Yuan wants to truly teach his disciples how to become successful, it will be difficult for him. His cultivation and sect are both given directly to him as a system gift package, and he has never truly practiced immortality. What should he use to teach his disciples? Teach me the cultivation methods of internet novels from my past life. I'm afraid I'm not joking. So, Chu Yuan still felt that it was more suitable for him to teach his useless disciples, at least if he acted in his true colors, he could complete the task. Anyway, he doesn't know how to teach his disciples. Half a month ago, Chu Yuan crossed over and after obtaining the system, he went down the mountain to search for his disciples. After half a month of searching, he finally found Yi Luo, a person with extremely poor qualifications, and accepted him as a disciple. People in this world, their cultivation aptitude depends entirely on their spiritual roots, and everyone has a spiritual root. A strong spiritual root represents a stronger aptitude for cultivating immortals and a broader future. Spiritual roots such as heaven and earth, 5 elements, wind, rain, and lightning belong to strong spiritual roots. The weaker the spiritual root, the weaker the qualification naturally represents. The weakest and most common spiritual root is the mortal root, which is possessed by every ordinary person. His disciple Yi Luo is different. No spiritual roots. Not even the ordinary spiritual roots possessed by ordinary people. Born without spiritual roots, unable to absorb spiritual energy, which means unable to cultivate immortality. Receiving this disciple made Chu Yuan happy for half a day. There's no need for him to teach the useless, it's just useless. If he delays for a year, he will succeed. However, it's necessary to deceive and stabilize this disciple's mind. Chu Yuan touched her chin and pondered. He was able to successfully recruit this disciple, firstly by demonstrating his strength, and secondly by demonstrating his ability to cure the disciple's inability to cultivate. This is how I successfully recruited such a useless disciple to my sect. If this disciple finds that he cannot help the other party solve the distress of not being able to cultivate and runs away, then he has nowhere to cry. As for forcibly detaining disciples to stay on the mountain, he has had this idea for a long time, and the system simply does not allow him to do so, which is equivalent to violating the rules. So, he can only think of a way to drag this disciple to stay on the mountain for a year. As long as this disciple stays for a year, after the sect inspection, he will do whatever he likes. Let me think carefully about how to keep this disciple in the sect. Anyway, just delay for a year. Well, just make up something so that this disciple can understand it on his own. If he can't understand it, he can only say that his intelligence is not good, and he can't blame me. Anyway, I am a Yuaning superpower. I have big fists, and what I say is reasonable. Chu Yuan nodded secretly and finalized the plan. No matter what he says, he is also a great power of the Yuaning realm. For this disciple who has not practiced immortality before, that is the senior. If he says something is okay, what should that disciple say? Speaking of the inability to cultivate one's own spiritual roots. Funny. In short, fabricate and deceive, and it's all done. If all the fabricated things can teach disciples to become successful, then he can swallow this mountain gate on the spot. Chu Yuan looked up at the tall mountain gate and felt amused, shaking his head. Clouds grew on the soles of my feet, and my figure transformed into a refreshing breeze, heading towards the mountain. End of this chapter. Chapter 2. As a teacher, I have great expectations for you. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. As a teacher, I have great expectations for you on the Tianwu mountain. Clouds and mist surround it, like a fairyland. Temples stand tall and ethereal, full of majesty and awe, making people feel awe and afraid to offend. Yi Luo held his sword and walked a long circle around the sect gate, finally arriving at the square outside the main hall of the sect gate. The sect is really big. I walked for 3 hours, but I didn't finish. Compared to the Tianqing sect in Dongzhou, I'm not even as conceited. Yi Luo sighed deeply. The Xinjiang continent is divided into several major states, while the territory where the Wudao sect is located belongs to the Dongzhou. In Dongzhou, there are also countless sectarian kingdoms standing tall, among which the most prosperous sect in the southern part of Dongzhou is undoubtedly the Tianqing sect. He once went to the Tianqing sect due to some family reasons. He can be certain that the Wudao sect is no weaker than the Tianqing sect, and even in terms of the grandeur of the sect's buildings, it is far superior to the Tianqing sect. The only weak point is that the Wudao sect is too desolate. The coldness has reached an extreme. It's like there's no one in the entire sect. Oh, well, there really isn't anyone. He's just the one. No, this is very wrong. How could a sect that is not weaker than Tianqing sect have an unknown origin? Moreover, I have seen the power of my master before. Even some elders of the Tianqing sect are inferior to him. Although I don't know his realm, he is definitely a strong one. Such a strong one has no reputation in Dongzhou, which is not in line with common sense. The only possibility is that Wudao sect is a hidden sect that has only recently reincarnated. That's right, that's it. The Yi Luo Longsword Station has a shining light in its eyes. If he really joined the Hidden World sect, his inability to cultivate will definitely be solved. Every hidden sect is mysterious and powerful, and he is not worried that the problems he cannot cultivate within the sect will not be solved. Well, the most important thing is, his master promised him, can help him solve things he cannot cultivate. This is the most reassuring reason for him. It's impossible. Is his master deceiving him? No way, no way. No one really thinks that his master is deceiving him, right? Don't joke anymore. So will a strong figure come to deceive him? What is the picture? The picture is so fun. Impossible. Luoer. A ethereal sound came, as if far or near, erratic. At the moment of hearing this sound, Yi Luo put away many thoughts in his mind and pretended to be proud. In front of the master, he should pay attention to his image. After a while, I saw Chu Yuan descending from the sky, treading on the clouds, hunting in his robes, and his long hair fluttering, like a peerless immortal wandering in the world, making Yi Luo's eyes hot. Cultivate and become immortal, carefree and carefree. How many people's dreams are this? Now the opportunity is in front of him. He must seize it well, cultivate and become a talented person, so as to become a peerless immortal and not disappoint this master. Master. Yi Luo bowed and bowed to Chu Yuan, appearing very respectful. Chu Yuan nodded calmly and said casually, Luoer, have you found a suitable sleeping hall? If you haven't found it yet, I can personally take you to find it. Upon hearing this, Yi Luo quickly bowed and said, I dare not trouble my master. I have already found a suitable sleeping hall, but when I saw the vastness of the sect, I was moved and wanted to practice and attain enlightenment as soon as possible, explore the void, and explore the entire sect. So the disciple earnestly requests the master to solve the problem of the disciple's inability to cultivate. As soon as this sentence is spoken, Chu Yuan choked heavily. He had originally planned to give Yi Luo a monthly tour of the sect, so he postponed it for a month. But this kid. Speak and practice. Xin Gui. Xin is fortunate that this kid has no spiritual roots and cannot cultivate at all. Otherwise, just this diligence will ruin his plan. Forget it, forget it. Since this kid doesn't want to travel to the sect for a month, then he can only activate the backup plan. Fake a trick. Chu Yuan thought to herself, but on the surface, it was calm and gentle. She turned around, facing the sky, and remained silent. Yi Luo looked up at his master and also looked up at the sky. The sun is very bright today. The sunlight is very dazzling. I can't stand it. Yi Luo just lowered her head in an instant, the noon sun was too dazzling. He turned his head again to look at Chu Yuan, but saw her staring at the sun in the sky without any expression. My heart couldn't help but feel emotional. The master is the master, and the strong are the strong. Unlike ordinary people like him, he is able to look directly at the sun, his face remains unchanged, and he doesn't even blink an eye. But Yi Luo doesn't know. Chu Yuan was already cursing her mother in her heart. According to the normal process, shouldn't Yi Luo ask him what he is looking at and then deceive him all the time? This kid didn't even talk nonsense. Don't you know that his eyes are very uncomfortable? He could feel the heat in his eyes, and he believed that as soon as he closed his eyes, tears would surely burst down. If he shed tears, his image would be ruined. I definitely can't close my eyes. Chu Yuan silently waited for Yi Luo to speak. However, Yi Luo remained silent and stood aside with a look of not daring to disturb her master. This made Chu Yuan extremely angry, almost unable to gather the power of Yuan Ying's power, and he slapped this useless disciple to the west. Fortunately, Yi Luo finally opened his mouth when Chu Yuan was about to lose control. The disciple earnestly requests the master to solve the problem of the disciple's inability to practice. The disciple will diligently practice in the future to repay the master's kindness. Good guy. You're bouncing back and forth on the edge of death. Chu Yuan silently withdrew his palm from his sleeve, turned his back to Yi Luo, lowered his head, and let out a calm voice. It's easy to solve the problem that you can't practice. As a teacher, just a gentle wave of your hand is enough, but as a teacher, I don't want you to start practicing now. Do you know why? Don't you want me to start practicing now? After a moment of confusion, Yi Luo shook her head and said, I don't know. Chu Yuan took a few steps forward, preventing the disciple from seeing tears streaming down his face as he walked and spoke. You were born with no spiritual roots and were unable to cultivate. This special situation is not uncommon in the long river of history, such as Xiao Huohua, who was a waste material for 3 years, eventually becoming the Yan Emperor, Shi Hao, who was excavated from his supreme bone at a young age, and finally becoming the Heavenly Emperor, as well as the crooked-mouthed Dragon King and other figures. All of them have special circumstances, but in the end, they all become people who turn their backs to sentient beings. So, as a teacher, I have great expectations for you. Luo, do you understand? Yi Luo was stunned for a moment. Emperor Yan. The Heavenly Emperor. The crooked-mouthed Dragon King. Why hasn't he even heard of these names? Are these some secrets that ordinary people don't know? Only the Hidden World Sect has records. End of this chapter. Chapter 3. Holding the Stars and Picking the Sun and Moon. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. Holding the Stars and Picking the Sun and Moon. As soon as you enter, tell us some secrets of the times. Is this the style of the Hidden World Sect? I love you. Yi Luo came to his senses and bowed before saying, Master. I don't quite understand, but I know that Master must be thinking for his disciples. Please let me know what to do. Chu Yuan, who originally wanted to say something, heard this sentence. Suddenly, my eyes lit up. Sure. This disciple is very noble. He said calmly, since you are the first disciple of my teacher, I will naturally teach you how to do it. Well, let's first set a 1-year plan for enlightenment, 1 year of enlightenment, and then I will teach you the next step. Well, let's start with 1 year of enlightenment. 1 year later, the sect has been tested, no matter how well you understand. With a puzzled expression on her face, Yi Luo asked, I dare to ask Master, what is enlightenment? Chu Yuan picked up the lines he had already planned and answered calmly, the so-called Tao is too complicated to understand, so I will give you a brief explanation. Tao is nature, heaven and earth, and all things. Tao generates 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, and all things. You, me, and all sentient beings are within the Tao. Luoer, do you understand? If you understand, I'll lose. Anyway, I can't understand. The highest level of deception is to deceive to the point where one does not even understand. He looked at Yi Luo's bewildered expression and was still very satisfied. Yi Luo stood there dumbfounded, as if savoring what Chu Yuan had just said. After a while, he bowed and said, Then dare you ask Master, how can you comprehend the Tao? There are thousands of ways, and different paths lead to the same goal. Just find the way you want to comprehend. Excuse me, Master. I have been practicing swordsmanship for years. Can I use swords to understand the Tao? Okay. May I ask Master, what is the way of swordsmanship? What you realize is your Tao. What do you think of your swordsmanship? That's what it is. Then dare I ask Master, how should I comprehend? How to comprehend? Bring your sword and I will show you a lesson. The rest will be understood by yourself. Chu Yuan was asked so much that he dared not let this disciple continue to ask. He is afraid that if the other party continues to ask, he will have to help out. He only has that little bit of food in his stomach. Going deeper, he is determined to be exposed. Upon hearing this, Yi Luo presented his sword with both hands. Chu Yuan took the sword and drew it out of its sheath. My gaze fell on the sword. I saw a cold light shining on this sword, and its sharpness was revealed. It can be considered a good sword. Chu Yuan glanced at Yi Luo with his remaining light and looked at the other person's expectant gaze. He fell silent for a moment. Can he use a sword? He has been traveling for half a month now, and he will use a fart sword. But he mainly wants to deceive this disciple. Regardless of whether he knows how to use a sword or not, as long as he uses his magic power, it looks like he's awesome and just needs to be coaxed. Watch it out. Chu Yuan whispered and clenched his long sword with his fingers. He looked up at the sky. Turn your palm. Full of magical power, he rose up and swung his sword towards the sky. Boom. With a deafening roar, a dozens of meter magical sword aimed towards the sky. The terrifying power overshadowed the world. This sword seems to be breaking new ground, with an unstoppable momentum, cutting towards the sky. With two roars, the layers of clouds and mist in the sky were split apart, revealing a touch of blue. Chu Yuan watched this scene with satisfaction, wiped away her tears without leaving a trace, and turned her head to look at Yi Luo, who was filled with shock and longing. I already have a bottom in my heart. It's done, it's done. Absolutely right. I was fooled by it. This small level of realm has been reached. Do you understand? Chu Yuan turned his back to Yi Luo and whispered softly. Upon hearing the master's words, Yi Luo quickly snapped out of shock and looked at her master in confusion. She shook her head and said, Master, disciple. I am foolish and do not understand. If you don't understand, that's right. Chu Yuan smiled inwardly. Then he said lightly, if you don't understand, then you should fully comprehend. I hope you can comprehend it within a year. With this sword, I will engrave all the teachings of being a teacher in it, so that you can fully comprehend it. As long as you can comprehend one or two, you are considered to have mastered the Tao. If you can comprehend 3 or 4 of them, then you are considered a first-class powerhouse. If you can comprehend 5 or 6 of them, then the world is vast and you can go anywhere. Bull talk and no money. How to get the cow batch. For this aspect obviously, Chu Yuan is well versed in its path. Upon hearing these words, Yi Luo's eyes became hot and he arched his hand, saying, Master, what should I do if I have gained a great understanding? Chu Yuan said angrily, I have set my sights high. If you have gained a great understanding, then I will send you a sentence from my teacher. Holding the stars and picking the sun and moon, there is no one like me in the world. Take a good time to understand. If there is anything you don't understand, ask me again. As the words fell, clouds formed under his feet and he drifted away, carefree and indifferent, but a satisfied expression flickered under his eyes. Especially when seeing the leaves falling in place with a stunning expression on their faces, their satisfaction became even greater. Steady, steady. I said in my heart. Chu Yuan couldn't help but accelerate his speed. In just a few breaths, he left the main hall square. The speed of the Yuanying realm is not guaranteed. In the case of full flight. In just a few minutes, Chu Yuan arrived at a backyard outside the gate of the Wudao sect. This place should be hidden enough, that useless disciple must not be able to find him here. I have already fooled Yi Luo. Next, of course, it will be a delay. The longer you delay, the better. So Chu Yuan arrived at the top of the back end. He felt that Yi Luo would come to him to inquire if he had made any progress after comprehending it. When he was asked to leave, he casually said, if there is anything you don't understand, come and ask again. If Yi Luo really asks, how will he answer? He is not a serious cultivator, how could he answer those questions? I simply hid in the back end. If Yi Luo can't find him by then, he will definitely be able to delay some more time. This is a delaying strategy. I'm really smart. Next, I'll stay in the back of the world and drag on for a month or 2. This apprentice is getting impatient, so I'll just talk to each other casually and continue dragging on. Chu Yuan casually found a large stone and lay down, snoring in the sun. On the other side. After listening to what Chu Yuan said, Yi Luo's mind was deeply shocked. Holding the stars and picking the sun and moon, there is no one like me in the world. This kind of tone, is this a true portrayal of the master? Is this the true power of the hidden world sect? I love you. With such guidance from his master, he must not waste it. He wants to understand the Tao. Yi Luo sat cross-legged, looking up at the sky with wide eyes, staring straight at the split cloud layer, wanting to learn something from it. Just stare like this. 1 hour, 2 hours when hungry, take out dry food to eat, and when thirsty, pick up a portable kettle to drink. Just a little bit of time passed by. Jin Wu falls in the west, the crescent moon rises in the east, and the cycle repeats itself. End of this chapter. Chapter 4. Master, I understand. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Master, I understand. In an instant, several days passed. Wudao Sect. Grand Hall Square. Yi Luo has been sitting here cross-legged for several days, and he has been looking up at the sky. I want to understand the Tao left by Chu Yuan. But there has been no progress. I don't even have a clue. Yi Luo can endure a few days of boredom. But for too long in a row, he couldn't understand anything, but he couldn't bear it anymore. After all, he is still a mortal and has not truly entered the path of cultivating immortals. I don't have such a good heart. After a few days of not understanding anything, he had already felt restless. Just as Yi Luo couldn't help but seek advice from his beloved master. Abnormalities arise suddenly. Yi Luo was about to get up when her mind suddenly shook. I just feel a clear conscience in my heart. When he opens his eyes again, everything in the world has changed. Everything around has become traceable. He looked up at the sky again. Between the already restored clouds, there were golden chains of order crisscrossing, and a vast and boundless atmosphere filled the air. Facing these chains of order. It's like facing the whole world. A sense of shock, insignificance, and powerlessness emerged in my heart. Yi Luo's eyes widened and his soul fell into extreme shock, unable to regain consciousness for a long time. Boom boom. Just as he was stunned. The chains of order in the sky have all disappeared, leaving only one path that charged straight down and penetrated between Yi Luo's eyebrows. In an instant, Yi Luo trembled all over and silently closed her eyes. In his mind, mysterious and obscure golden runes emerged one by one. Every golden rune is mysterious and full of mysterious charm. Yi Luo looked at these golden runes and couldn't understand them at all, even one of them. However, a voice inexplicably appeared in his ear. This voice was cold and ethereal, as if it came from between heaven and earth. This voice was explaining to him the meaning of these golden runes. Upon hearing these sounds, Yi Luo instantly fell into an epiphany. The contents of each golden rune were elaborated for Yi Luo to listen to and absorb. These golden runes did not elevate his realm. But invisibly, he built his foundation even stronger. At the same time, it also elevates his mood. 3 hours have passed. When the golden crow falls. In the midst of an epiphany, Yi Luo slowly woke up. Is this the way left by the Master? Master is indeed a peerless and powerful sect, and the non-Dao sect must also be a powerful sect in the hidden world. Yi Luo looked at her hands, her heart surging with excitement. He is very aware of his own changes. Although he has not yet embarked on the path of cultivating immortals, he is not hesitant in the face of the existence of the Qi refining realm. Most importantly, after he understood those golden runes, he knew what the Tao was. The cultivator refines Qi and enters the body, builds a foundation for 100 days, forms a golden pill, breaks the pill into infants, and then goes up to realize their own way, and infants transform into gods. Enlightenment is something that needs to be done when breaking through the realm of transforming gods. And he, without reaching the realm of refining Qi, has already embarked on the path of transforming into a divine realm. This is undoubtedly why his master wanted him to forge the foundation of the Supreme Tao, which is why he was able to comprehend the Tao ahead of time. Think of this. Yi Luo couldn't help but wonder what kind of realm his master was. Surprisingly, he could easily forge an unparalleled foundation for him. As long as he doesn't fall in the future and solves the problem of cultivation, then he is at least a great power to transform the divine realm. What kind of realm would his master be? At least it's also the realm of transforming gods, right? No, those who can easily achieve this step are probably the unparalleled powerhouses who have crossed the tribulation realm. His master is suspected to be a peerless powerhouse in crossing the tribulation realm. Yi Luo's heart flashed, and her breathing became rapid. Crossing the tribulation realm. That's crossing the tribulation realm. The most top-notch presence on the mainland. Crossing the realm of calamity and ascending, then one has ascended to immortality. And his master, it is very likely to be a cross-calamity realm existence. There is a master who crosses the tribulation realm. When I go out, if I want to walk horizontally, I will walk horizontally. If I want to walk crabs, I will walk crabs. If my master ascends to immortality, who in the world would dare to touch me? No, he ascends to immortality. He ascends. Yi Luo's eyes widened abruptly. He understands. He understands why there is such a reclusive sect like the Wudao sect, and why it is so desolate. Because of soaring. Wudao sect may have been a hidden sect since ancient times. During this period, it was feared that all the people within the sect had ascended, and it was precisely because all the people within the sect had ascended that it led to the coldness of the Taoist sect. And his master, I'm afraid, is in the realm of crossing tribulations, approaching the edge of ascension. Worried that no one would inherit the Wudao sect after ascending, I chose to be born and accept myself as a disciple. With this thought, everything makes sense. Master, I understand. Yi Luo was extremely excited and stood up to search for Chu Yuan. Explain to his master well, he understands his master's meaning. But he searched half of the sect, but couldn't find where his master was. In the end, we can only give up. Thinking that his master wanted him to meditate and not easily get excited, he continued to meditate. Huya. When Yi Luo jumps up and down to find Chu Yuan. Of course, Chu Yuan also noticed. However, he only noticed these things. When Yi Luo realized the Tao, he did not notice it. Regarding to Tao, it is already something that can only be felt by the existence of the realm of transforming gods. He is the only one in the Yuaning realm, unable to detect it at all. So he could only notice that Yi Luo was looking for him. I knew this guy couldn't hold his temper and would come to me. Fortunately, I had foresight and hid in the back. Chu Yuan's expressionless face showed a smile. Everything is under control. No accidents. Next year, he will at least be a mid-stage superpower of a primordial baby. Moreover, it will never stop like this. In the future, he will definitely be a strong opponent. If we follow the story, then he is the male protagonist, destined to be powerful. If he is really the kind of protagonist in the novel. What would be the title of the novel? Did I go from Yuaniing cultivation to invincibility? Chu Yuan got up. Suddenly. Chu Yuan looked down at the foot of Tianwu Mountain. In his divine consciousness. He saw a black-robed man carrying a large box, rushing up the mountain. Which one is this? Keep rushing up the mountain. Is this to enter his Taoist sect? Just, who exactly is this guy? What should we do to rush towards his empty Taoist sect? He has nothing in the Taoist sect. On the Wudao sect, besides him and Yi Luo, is there anything else not right? Yi Luo. Shouldn't this guy be Yi Luo, an elder who learned that he couldn't help Yi Luo solve the problem of not being able to cultivate, so he came here specifically to pick Yi Luo up? No way. This shouldn't be either. Chu Yuan thought a lot, but ultimately decided to go down the mountain and see what this person was doing, requesting a recommendation ticket, whimpering. End of this chapter. Chapter 5. Extraordinary Madman. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. Extraordinary Madman at the foot of Tianwu Mountain. A black-robed man was carrying a huge box and rushing up the mountain quickly. Be careful, the movements are very light. I dare not even fly. Occasionally, he even glanced back. Seems to be afraid of being discovered. Ha ha ha, the holy land of Dongzhou is just like that. How could I, Zhang San, successfully escape? The black-robed man laughed softly. Laughter is full of arrogance. His name is Zhang San. This is a name that has changed the color of the major forces in Dongzhou. Within 3 years, he circulated among various major sects in Dongzhou, stealing their secret codes, and even the only holy land for cultivation in Dongzhou did not escape his hands. Personally, Zhang San, a lawless maniac. Well, he recently stole all the books from the entire Sutra Pavilion in the Holy Land of Cultivation, and even set fire to the entire Sutra Pavilion, attracting countless strong warriors from the Holy Land to pursue him. This is when I cautiously dodged. Arriving at the foot of the misty mountain on this day, I prepared to go up the mountain and take shelter from the wind. He rushed up quickly. Suddenly. He felt something and suddenly stopped in his tracks. Looking up at the top of Tianwu Mountain. This is the breath of the Tao. There are cultivators on the mountaintop who transform the divine realm. Did those Holy Land dogs catch up? Impossible. Let's not talk about my hidden energy ability for now. Let's just say that those pugs chasing after me won't show their Tao's aura, they probably just hit me directly. Upon closer inspection, the aura of this track is very faint, far less majestic than the Tao meaning of transforming the divine realm. Zhang San stared brightly at the direction of the mountaintop. He is the existence of the peak realm of Yuanying, only missing the enlightenment to step into the realm of transforming gods. So he is very sensitive to the breath of the Tao. He can feel it. The track on the mountaintop is very weak. The person on the mountaintop either has a half-step transformation of the divine realm or has just broken through the transformation of the divine realm. In short, he doesn't have to be afraid either. Zhang San thought and continued to walk up with the big box. At this moment, a voice drifted over lightly. Taoist friends, please stay. Zhang San was taken aback and looked up. A man in a white robe stepped on the clouds and landed in front of him, blocking his way. His temperament was ethereal and illusory, like a banished immortal. At first glance, it seemed like a peerless and powerful figure was approaching. Zhang San's pupils shrank and he secretly became wary. And the person who came was Chu Yuan. Chu Yuan faced Zhang San, carrying his hands on his back, and said calmly, "This Taoist friend, further up is our sect's territory. Please stop, Taoist friend. Your sect. Is there a sect gate above? Not right. When will there be a sect on Tianwu Mountain? Why doesn't he know? Still not right. The point is not this. Did the previous aura of meaning come from the disciples of the upper sect?" Zhang San remained calm on the surface. "Put down the big box behind you and speak slowly. May I ask who your excellency is? What kind of sect is on the mountain?" The magic on his body was secretly mobilized. Be ready to take action at any time. The temperament on the person in front of him is so extraordinary that it gives him a feeling of facing the Lord of the Holy Land. He dare not underestimate it. Chu Yuan replied lightly, "On the mountain, it is the Wudao sect, and I am the leader of the Wudao sect. This sect is just a small sect. Don't think too much, Taoist friends. Only this sect and one disciple are practicing, enjoying purity and not wanting to be disturbed. If you have nothing to do, please come down the mountain. Only you and one disciple are practicing in the sect. The meaning just now was the breath emitted by your disciples. My disciples are all in the realm of transforming gods. What kind of realm will this sect leader be? The crossing realm above the divine realm. No wonder. No wonder this guy has such an extraordinary temperament. Dare Qin is an old monster crossing the tribulation realm. However, this old man did not realize that he was an extramarital maniac. He can definitely slip away. Zhang San's eyes flashed with luck and he arched his hand, saying, "Since the senior doesn't want to be disturbed and kept clean, then the junior will leave first." After speaking, he didn't hesitate at all and turned around to leave. I took a few steps. Just getting ready to step into the air. A faint voice echoed from behind. "Taoist friend, you forgot to take your box." Zhang San was frightened by the sound and almost fell down. He turned around and saw the large box he had left in place. Blame oneself inwardly for carelessness. I walked over to pick up the box and thanked him a lot. "Thank you for reminding me, senior. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first." Chu Yuan spoke again, "Friend Dao, your box is so big, what is inside?" "Inside are all the secret codes and codes that I stole from various sections." "Can you say that?" "If you say that, I'm afraid this old guy will come to defend the way of eliminating demons." "You can't say that, you can only continue to lie." Zhang San tried his best to calm his facial expression and took a deep breath before saying, "Senior, this box is full of things that the younger generation needs to make a living. They are all fake cultivation methods and decisions that are used to sell to some mortal people who are approaching their limits but have a delusion of immortality." Fake cultivation method decision. Fake. What a fake. He has no Taoist sect's transmission hall, so it's best to buy some fake cultivation methods to deceive his disciples. Chu Yuan said with great interest, "Fake cultivation methods. Let me take a look. Are you interested in fake cultivation methods?" Zhang San rose in his heart, but he didn't dare to take any action. He took down the big box obediently. Open the box in 3 or 2 strokes. Open the box. Senior, these are all fake cultivation methods and cannot be taken seriously. Even if you practice for 70 or 80 years, you won't be able to produce anything. If the senior lacks the determination of cultivation methods, I have some here. As long as the senior says a word, then the junior will all show filial piety to the senior. While speaking, he also stepped back, fearing that Chu Yuan would violently suppress him. Chu Yuan rolled his eyes, too lazy to bother with this guy. If you shout at his senior for no reason, just treat it as if you haven't heard him. He walked towards the big box. Reached out and picked up one of the books. Heavenly Tao True Body. The name is quite imposing, but unfortunately it is fake. Open it and take a look. The first line amused Chu Yuan. Assuming that a cultivator in the realm of transforming the divine realm is contemplating the heavenly Tao in their mind, communicating with it, and absorbing the power of the heavenly Tao into their own body, they can become accustomed to the power of the heavenly Tao. During battles, draw the power of the heavenly way into the body to form the heavenly way true body. The more proficient one becomes in cultivation, the more blessings they receive. You can tell from this that it's deceiving. Take a look at the second book again on postpartum care of immortal pigs. Puff. Chu Yuan smiled inwardly like a chubby man weighing 200 pounds, but the surface remained calm and indifferent. He put down the book and looked at Zhang San, saying calmly. I bought all of these seats, let's calculate by gene. How much does it cost per gene? Zhang San. What? Calculated by Caddy. These are all secret codes and codes of various major sects, calculated by Caddy. Requesting a recommendation ticket, whimpering, end of this chapter. Chapter 6. Refusal to accept those with spiritual roots. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Refusal to accept those with spiritual roots. The secret code of various major sects and powers. This even includes some undisclosed secrets and secret remedies recorded in the Eastern Sacred Land. Such a valuable thing selling by Caddy. If the leaders of those sects heard this, they would be so angry that they would go crazy on the spot. Zhang San's face stiffened. He wanted to answer, but didn't know how to answer, so he could only remain silent. Chu Yuan doesn't care about this goods. I picked up the big box and weighed it. Then he said slowly. I see from you, including the box, it weighs about 8 pounds. Even if you weigh 1 or 2 silver coins per pound, 8 pounds is 8 taels. Please take it carefully. He took out 8 taels of silver from his sleeve and handed it to Zhang San. Don't ask him where the money comes from. The question was obtained by casually robbing the rich to help the poor when we went down the mountain. Zhang San looked at the 8 taels of silver in his hand, wanting to cry without tears. What should he say about this? The panic was sown by him here. Can he still take the initiative to say, are those all real secret codes? I'm afraid I said that this old man who crossed the tribulation realm will come to eliminate demons and defend himself. Kill him, and these secret codes and codes are still owned by this old man. Continuing to panic now, he still has a way to survive. So, it can't be said. He's not willing to trade 8 taels of silver for these secret codes and codes like this. Zhang San swallowed a mouthful of saliva and gritted his teeth, saying, Senior, it is possible for Liang to sell these fake Dharma decisions to you, but please accept me as an apprentice. Teach me a lesson. Join this senior's sect. He could see that these laws would never come back. Since you don't want to come back, why not join the sect of this senior? He can still browse and read these legal decisions. You can also receive a guidance on crossing the tribulation realm. Chu Yuan, carrying a large box, raised her eyebrows and looked at Zhang San, saying, Do you want to worship my Wudao sect? Do you dare to ask if you have spiritual roots? Ling Zhen. Upon hearing this topic, Zhang San immediately patted his chest and showed a proud expression on his face, saying, "I would like to inform you, senior, that you are the body of the wind spirit root." Wind spirit root. This is a stronger type of spiritual root. Those who possess this spiritual root are all talented individuals. Looking back at the time, when he was tested for his spiritual roots, he was shocked by the detection of his wind spiritual roots, which shocked the whole audience. I don't know how many sects broke their heads in order to fight for his joining. He believed that as long as he revealed his spiritual roots, this senior would definitely have thoughts on him. Well, he believes, he is certain, he is firm. It will definitely be like this. If not. Hee. If not, then he turned his head on the spot and swallowed the nearby tree without chewing it. Just when Zhang San felt that he was about to kowtow and pay his respects. Chu Yuan, on the other hand, said in a secluded voice, "Friend Dao, I'm sorry. I only accept people without spiritual roots, and I won't accept anyone with spiritual roots. Friend Dao, let's go down the mountain and leave our seat." After speaking, he carried a large box, with clouds growing on his feet, and quickly flew towards the back. Zhang San. What? Senior, something's wrong with you. I have already finished the whole process, are you leaving now? Zhang San looked at the figure of Chu Yuan who had already left, and could only curse hastily in his heart. Huya. Chu Yuan returned here carrying a large box. He didn't immediately send these fake cultivation methods to the transmission hall. But instead, I picked up the Great Formation diagram of Wudao Sect's mountain protection and looked at it. He remembers that there was the ability to hide sects on the mountain protection formation of the Wudao Sect. Well, he plans to hide the Wudao Sect. It's okay this time. Just a passerby selling fake books. What if his disciple Yi Luo's family really come over to pick him up next time? No, he must leave the leaves to fall for a year. So he wants to hide the Wudao Sect so that others can't find it, and Yi Luo can stay quietly on the mountain for a year. Chu Yuan pondered over the formation plan for a long time. I finally figured out how to use it. Activate mana to inject into the formation. Suddenly, the formation flickered with a golden light, flying out of Chu Yuan's hand and into the void. Wudao Sect. Mountain Protection Formation, Hidden Formation Open. If someone stands outside Tianwu Mountain at this moment, they can see that waves of clouds and mist appear out of thin air surrounding the entire Tianwu Mountain. These clouds gradually obscured Tianwu Mountain, making it difficult for people to see its true face. As clouds and mist completely envelop Tianwu Mountain, a strange scene happened. Tianwu Mountain has disappeared. This is not really disappearing. But after being shrouded in clouds and mist, in the eyes of others, Tianwu Mountain seems to be completely non-existent. At first glance, subconsciously, it will ignore the existence of Tianwu Mountain and only feel that this area is rich in clouds and mist. But inside Tianwu Mountain, one can clearly see the scenery outside. Chu Yuan is very satisfied with this hidden formation. After setting up the hidden formation, Chu Yuan quietly placed these fake Dharma decisions in the hall of transmission, and then transmitted a message to Yi Luo, but did not appear. Appearing. It is impossible to appear. He needs to hide. Anyway, let Yi Luo not find anyone, that's right. As long as you can, please let it go. I can't drag it on anymore, continue to deceive. Grand Hall Square. Yi Luo sat cross-legged, still in the process of enlightenment. I don't know how long it has been. He opened his eyes and exhaled a breath from his mouth. Master is truly a peerless powerhouse. Yi Luo was deeply moved. He could feel that these golden runes were helpful to him, almost always strengthening his physical body and nourishing his soul. Although he has not yet cultivated immortality, he is no longer weak in the realm of refining qi. And based on his insights over these days, these golden runes are just the tip of the iceberg of the Tao. The countless chains in the sky he saw last time are the true way. He only gained a tiny understanding, which was of great benefit to him. If I could understand all those millions of chains that may be, as his master said, holding the stars and picking the sun and moon, there is no one like me in the world. Feel free to eat something and continue to understand. Strive to complete the master's instructions within a year and not let the master down. Yi Luo thought so. I was just about to take out some dry food to eat, fill my stomach, and then continue my enlightenment. Suddenly, a voice came in his ear, boosting his spirits. Master said, "Can I go to the transmission hall when I have time?" The Hall of Transmission of Dharma, by name, should be the place where I teach martial arts secrets. Didn't Master let me first understand the Tao for a year before solving my problem of having no spiritual roots? What are you asking me to go to the Hall of Transmission of Dharma now? Let's take a look first. Master must have a deep understanding of him. It's useless to think so much. After pondering for a while, Yi Luo picked up his long sword and walked towards the outside of the main hall square. He doesn't know where the transmission hall is. I can only wander around and search for the location of the transmission hall. End of this chapter. Chapter 7. Selling 8 Liang. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. Selling 8 Liang in front of the transmission hall. Yi Luo stood here, looking up at the ancient and solemn palace in front of him. A sense of solemnity naturally arose in my heart. Especially when he saw the 3 big characters, Chuanfa Hall, on top of the palace, which were like walking dragons and snakes, it made him feel his mind wandering. From these 3 words, one can vaguely see the illusion of life and death, the vastness of the universe, and countless images emerge. This once again made Yi Luo marvel at the extraordinary nature of the sect and feel fortunate to have joined such a hidden world sect. Thinking like this, he couldn't help but straighten his clothes. Stepping into the Hall of Transmission of Dharma. Upon entering the scene, there are rows of stone platforms arranged horizontally, with a total of 9 rows of stone platforms, each with 9 stone platforms. On each stone platform, there is a secret code book. Is anyone there? Yi Luo spoke softly. The sound came out, causing waves of echoes. No one answered. Generally speaking, places like the Chuanfa Hall that teach secret scriptures and laws are important places for sects, and there are strong people sitting there. However, there was no one in the transmission hall of the Wudao sect, appearing empty and silent. This further deepened Yi Luo's thoughts. The strong members of the Wudao sect must have already ascended. His master is also on the brink of ascension, which is why he was born and accepted as his disciple. The purpose is to entrust Wudao sect to him when he grows up, and then ascend to immortality. He must not disappoint his master's expectations, and must fully comprehend and cultivate, becoming a strong individual as soon as possible. Master will definitely show a pleased smile when the time comes. Thinking of this, Yi Luo's heart became even stronger. He originally wanted to pick up the secret code on the stone platform and take a look. Yu Guang casually glanced around the corner. In the corner, there is a pile of books thrown away. He walked over subconsciously. Picked up one of the books. Qinglong Refining Technique. This book, he has heard of it. Yi Luo comes from a family in a medium-sized city. The city families he belongs to are all under the jurisdiction of a powerful sect called Qinglong Daozong. And the Zhenzong technique of Qinglong Daozong is Qinglong Refining Body Technique. Has the Zhenzong Cultivation technique of Qinglong Taoism appeared in the transmission hall of his Wudao sect? Still being treated as garbage and thrown into the corner. Is this the hidden world sect? I love you. Yi Luo was emotional and put down the book in her hand, then looked at the other books in the corner. This sight made him exclaim in surprise. Is it not the secret of the Springwood sect that withered trees will be resolved in spring? Silent Sword Classic, the strongest swordsmanship of the only Kendo sect in Dongzhou. The Demon Spirit Curse, the Dharma decision of the Demon sect. I have watched a lot. Yi Luo noticed that these were all secret martial arts scripts of various major sections. And most of them are secret techniques or techniques that are not passed down. Every book taken out can cause a bloody storm, and it is normal for countless strong people to break their heads for it. But these things have fallen to the point where they have no Taoist sect, and can only be reduced to the point of being thrown into the corner and eating dust. Is this the essence of the hidden world gate? Yi Luo took a deep breath and suppressed her excited emotions. Strive to restore calmness to his heart. He doesn't have a spiritual root yet, so he can't practice. No matter how incredible these secret scripts are, he cannot cultivate them. On the contrary, his master knew he had no spiritual roots and even sent him to the Dharma Hall. Maybe it's just to hone his moral character, so that he won't be surprised when he sees anything in the future. He can't get excited. He will inherit the man of the Taoist sect in the future. Yi Luo calmed down. He flipped through the books in the corner again. For those books on cultivation, turn a blind eye. I flipped through it for a long time. He found one of the interesting books. On the secrets of ancient times. What book is this? A book that records events from ancient times. Yi Luo became interested. Maybe he can get information about the Wudao sect from this book. He picked up the book and sat straight on the ground. I opened the book and started reading it. The first sentence in the book made him feel lost. Rumor has it that in ancient times, everyone had no spiritual roots, and the realm of Yuanying transforming into gods and crossing tribulations was only a threshold for cultivation. Later, due to the drastic changes in heaven and earth, spiritual energy was insufficient, and the heavenly way set spiritual roots for the human body to limit its cultivation speed, so as not to exhaust spiritual energy. Yi Luo's heart was greatly shaken, as if she understood something. She quickly flipped down and refused to miss a word. At the same time, in Dongzhou, within the territory of Lingguo, in a city, a chase battle is taking place between cultivators. The pursued person is undoubtedly the lawless maniac Zhang San. Zhang San tried his best to escape, but couldn't shake off countless strong opponents. I can only barely hang them. Zhang San fled while looking at the strong players from various major sects behind him, pretending to be relaxed and laughing loudly. Are you still the strong players in various major sectors? Is that all? We can't even catch up, what's the use of having you? He wants to provoke these strong men, exhaust their mana, and then take the opportunity to shake them off. His ideas are beautiful. Unfortunately, he is destined not to run away. Just as Zhang Sangang finished speaking, a huge palm print fell from the sky and directly blasted Zhang San into the ground. Roaming and rumbling, the entire city was shaken. Rolling dust and mist enveloped this area. After a moment, a black-robed old man stepped out of the dust and mist, holding Zhang San like a dead dog in his hand. The old man in black threw Zhang San to the ground. Strong individuals from various major sectors gathered around, wanting to speak up. The old man in the black robe waved his hand, indicating that everyone didn't need to speak. He walked up and picked up Zhang San, saying hoarsely, "Non-Dharma madman. Tell me, where are the martial arts of my holy land and various major sections? Speak up, I can make your death simpler." Zhang San was panting heavily, with blood flowing from the corners of his mouth. Trembling and trembling, he took out 8 taels of silver from his arms and handed it to the black-robed old man. The old man in the black robe took 8 taels of silver, and his divine sense scanned it without finding anything. He couldn't help but frown and threw 8 taels of silver to the people behind him. "Let's take a look, is this silver some kind of storage tool?" Numerous strong men took the silver and carefully observed it. After observing for a while, nothing was found. Zhang San said softly, "Don't think about it. This is not a storage tool, this is silver. I have sold your respective secret codes and codes for 8 taels of silver." Black-robed old man. Numerous strong individuals. Each of their major secret code books is priceless. 8 taels of silver sold the secret codes of their major sections. Are you teasing them? The gaze of many strong men towards Zhang San began to deteriorate. Zhang San swallowed his blood foam and muttered, "This is true, right on Tianwu Mountain. There is a sect called Wudao sect on Tianwu Mountain, and their sect leader is a great master of crossing the tribulation realm. He forcibly bought those secret codes and codes with 8 taels of silver. If you don't believe me, I can take you over. If not, I'll take my head off and kick you like a ball." End of this chapter. Chapter 8. The weather is nice today. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. The weather is nice today inside the hall of transmission of Dharma. Yi Luo was holding a book and sitting in the corner, his eyes shining brightly. Through this book that records ancient secrets, he had a vague understanding of his own situation. In ancient times, humans had no spiritual roots, and the birth of spiritual roots was considered a shackle of heaven and earth on humans, and, in this book, there is a hypothesis. Heaven and earth place spiritual roots on the human body, limiting its cultivation. Assuming that when a person is born with a special and powerful physique, their spiritual roots cannot limit their cultivation speed. Perhaps there may be some changes due to different times, but as long as they can cultivate, they will inevitably enter the realm rapidly if he guessed correctly. He is this type of person. Yi Luo took a deep breath and murmured to herself. Originally, I was not a waste, but a talented and powerful person. No wonder Master asked me to come to the Dharma Hall to understand all of this. Master, your profound meaning, I understand. He is still somewhat excited in his heart. Anyone who has carried the name of waste material for so many years will feel uncomfortable. Now he understood that he was the truly talented and powerful person, and he was instantly relieved of his anger. He is not a person abandoned by heaven, but rather a jealous person from heaven. At the same time, he also resolved his last doubts about his master. He said, why didn't his master, the great power of crossing the tribulation realm and the leader of the hidden world sect, choose those with heavenly and earthly spiritual roots as his disciples? But he chose him as his disciple, who has no spiritual roots. It turns out that he is the true reason for his innate strength. Yi Luo learned about these. He didn't feel any pride, but instead felt even greater pressure in his heart. If it weren't for his master asking him to come to the Dharma Hall, he wouldn't have known these secrets. All of this was bestowed upon us by our master. He must not disappoint his master's expectations. Yi Luo had a fighting spirit in his eyes. He put the book back in its original place, turned around, and walked out of the transmission hall. He is going to enlightenment. He is going to practice swordsmanship. He wants to grow up as soon as possible to repay his master's supreme kindness. Without hesitation, Yi Luo quickly returned to the main hall square and began to understand the Tao. In this way, Yi Luo entered the stage of asceticism, realizing the Tao during the day and practicing swordsmanship at night, day after day. In an instant, several days passed. On this day, a group of people welcomed into an open space outside Tianwu Mountain. These people all walk in the air, with the lowest cultivation being the golden elixir, and the highest reaching the realm of transforming gods. It is precisely the strength of various major sectors. The black-robed old man, who was the leader, held Zhang San and looked at the clouds and mist around him with a pale face. Divine consciousness swept by. Where is Tianwu Mountain? This Zhang San is clearly playing with them. Non-legal fanatics, truly worthy of being non-legal fanatics. Even if they dare to deceive us at this point, they are truly free from the law. Ha ha ha, I have been deceiving you for so many years, this is the first time I have been deceived. If you can become the person who deceived me for the first time, you can also fall in glory. The black-robed old man spoke hoarsely. There is a glint of killing intent in the eyes with red fruits. Other strong individuals also have an unpleasant expression, but their eyes are more focused on worry. They have not retrieved the secret codes and codes of their major sections. This makes it difficult for them to explain when they go back. Zhang San looked at the faces of these strong men and knew the seriousness of the situation. He kept saying, "Really? I really didn't lie to you, right ahead. In the clouds and mist ahead, there is a Tianwu mountain, and there is a sect called Wudao sect on the mountain. Oh, I really didn't lie to you. If you don't believe me, let me down and I'll take you over. It's really right ahead. If not, I'll give you a live performance of swallowing stones. That's it. I don't need any magic, I'll show you how to swallow it." He pointed to a huge stone several hundred meters away, with a firm expression on his face. "Stone. You guys talk and talk, it's none of my business, you can easily swallow me." But the old man in the black robe was extremely angry and laughed back. His divine sense had swept away, and there was nothing else that could escape his divine sense. The other strong ones didn't think so, and they all spoke up, asking Zhang San to take them over. Even if there is a frontline opportunity, they are not willing to give up. The old man in the black robe had no choice but to let Zhang San go and let him lead the way. Zhang San landed and quickly led numerous strong men towards the clouds and mist. "I really didn't deceive you. Ahead, right ahead, is Tianwu Mountain, where there is a sect called Wudao sect. I don't know why, last time I came here, the clouds and mist weren't that big. This time, the clouds and mist are so big. Look, Tianwu Mountain is right here. Here. Looking at the emptiness in front of me." Zhang San was stunned. Where is Tianwu Mountain ahead? Only rolling clouds and mist filled the air. My goodness, where is Tianwu Mountain? Tianwu Mountain, come out quickly. If you don't come out, my head is gone. Zhang San didn't need to turn his head, he could feel how frozen the air behind him was. Playing with a powerful deity transforming realm and a group of strong Yuaniing golden elixirs like monkeys, and playing over and over again, you can tell with your feet what his fate will be. "What, the weather is nice today. Have you all eaten yet?" Zhang San pretended to be relaxed and turned to ask with a smile. As the words fell, he rubbed oil on the soles of his feet and instantly burst into mana, fleeing. "You're looking for death. Damien Seal." The black-robed old man rose up in anger and slapped Zhang San with a tremendous force. Roaming and rumbling centered around Tianwu Mountain, it shook for thousands of miles. Chu Yuan, who was lying in the sun at the back of the Wudao sect, was also frightened by this vibration. He was so scared that he fell. "Is this an earthquake?" Chu Yuan looked around in confusion. Subconsciously releasing his divine consciousness of the Yuaning realm, sweeping in all directions. He immediately understood. There are strong warriors fighting outside Tianwu Mountain. And this power he felt threatened. The people who fight outside are stronger than him. Are there so many strong cultivators in this immortal world? Anyone who fights outside his sect is stronger than him. Is this Yuaning too weak? 1 year later, relying on teaching to abolish Yi Luo, he could only be promoted to the middle stage of Yuaning. It seems that it's still a bit weak. No way. He cannot be lazy like this. He is going to collect a few more disciples. If you defeat a disciple, you can elevate it to a small level. Teach to abolish 3, that is a great realm. As long as he teaches a dozen or 20, he will be invincible in the world. I went from Yuaning to invincible, is that just a joke? Yes. He is going to collect more disciples. Anyway, Yi Luo's side has stabilized, and he can go out and find new disciples without any problem. Chu Yuan's divine sense swept over and found Yi Luo sitting in the main hall square. I couldn't help but smile. This disciple is really cute. You can easily deceive me with just a few strokes. As for enlightenment, if you can come up with something, I'll kneel down and kowtow to you, calling you grandpa requesting recommended tickets. End of this chapter. Chapter 9. Rewards. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Chapter 9 Rewards within the territory of Dongzhou. The clear sky stretches for thousands of miles. There are countless sects within the territory of Dongzhou, with the lowest being the Jiupin sect and the highest being the Epin sect. Further up is the only holy land in Dongzhou. There is no hierarchy of power that surpasses all sects in Dongzhou. The name of the holy land Qiandi Daozong. At this moment, within the main hall of Emperor Qiandi Daozong, dozens of elders gathered here, all looking very ugly. The supreme inheritance of our Taoist sect has been broken, and several important martial arts books have been stolen. Although some disciples have compiled and submitted some martial arts, some obscure yet important ones cannot be found. Throughout history, how many holy sites have been destroyed due to the rupture of inheritance? I, Emperor Qiandi Daozong, must not follow the footsteps of others. The sect leader is in seclusion, what can we do? Don't worry, wait for the elder to return. The elder has already gone to arrest the lawless maniac Zhang San. At this moment, a figure flew into the main hall. It is the black-robed elder, the grand elder of the Qiandi Taoist sect. The elders all stood up and bowed. Big elder. The old man in the black robe waved his hand, gesturing for everyone to wave the salute. As the elders opened their mouths to ask, he was the first to speak. Those techniques have not been recovered yet, but I have captured Zhang San and he is now locked in a cage. I have already consulted the sect leader about this matter, and he will personally handle it later. What exactly happened? Forget it, I'll tell you personally. The elder explained in detail the rhetoric spoken by Zhang San, as well as the causes and consequences of the entire incident. After hearing this, all the elders were furious. This lawless maniac really sees himself as a character. Surprisingly daring to play tricks on the elder, it's a crime worthy of death. Even the eldest elder dares to play around, deserves a reward. Deserves a beating. Watching this group of people focus on him being played with. The elder has a black line on his face. This is a very serious matter, okay? Your focus is too biased, isn't it? Although they had just turned black one by one, their faces have now calmed down. What kind of ghost is that one who keeps smiling and blushing? How serious is it to have one's martial arts skills stolen? Surprisingly, you still have the mood to laugh. No, this group of people seems to have objections to me. The elder widened his eyes and was about to question this group of people. Suddenly, a voice came in. This Zhang San is not lying. The elders looked up. A middle-aged man with a Chinese face, expressionless, and full of authority stepped in. This person is the leader of the contemporary Qian Emperor Daoist sect, Chu Yuan. Many elders, including the Grand Elder, restrained the strange atmosphere on the field and bowed to the Chu Yuan sect leader. I'm waiting to see the sect leader. The Chu Yuan Patriarch waved his hand casually and sat at the head of the main hall, while the back said expressionlessly, let's all be free of charge. I have used this sect's secret technique on Zhang San and confirmed that he did not lie. The secret codes and codes of various major sects, including some of our sect's secret codes, were all sold by Zhang San to a sect called Wudao sect for 8 taels of silver. Wow! Numerous elders were in an uproar. 8 taels of silver sells so many secret codes and codes from various sects, including important martial arts from their holy land, etc. It's simply a slippery trick in the world. No one will believe this when it is said. Many elders have not regained their senses. The elder, however, reacted quickly and asked, Master. Since Zhang San is not lying, where is this Daoist sect? Is what Zhang San said about Tianwu Mountain also true? But I have already been to what Zhang San said about Tianwu Mountain, and it is simply an empty land. The Qianyuan sect leader shook his head and said, according to Zhang San, the leader of the Wudao sect is a top-notch figure in crossing the realm of calamity, and it is very likely that the Wudao sect is a hidden world sect. It is too simple to deceive the Grand Elder's investigation. Crossing the tribulation realm. Hidden world sect. Once these two words come out, the numerous elders who had never recovered from the gods almost knelt down. Crossing the robbery realm stronger. This world, crossing the realm of calamity, is already the strongest existence. In the entire Dongzhou, except for the holy sites such as the Qiandi Daozong, which have one or two supreme elders crossing the tribulation realm, there are no other sects that have crossed the tribulation realm. It is evident that there is a scarcity of strong individuals in the realm of crossing tribulations. But if it comes from the hidden world sect, then it's normal. The hidden world sect, according to ancient esoteric records, was formed due to unforeseen events, either major disasters or the appearance of a heavenly pride that overshadowed the world at that time. Some sects choose to remain secluded, devoting themselves to practice and not caring about worldly affairs. After a long period of time, they gradually become unknown, hence they are called secluded sections. But undoubtedly every hidden sect has gone through the test of time, powerful and mysterious. It is said that there is a realm of crossing tribulations in the hidden world sect. This is very reasonable. Master, will the appearance of the hidden world sect in Dongzhou pose a threat to the rule of my holy land? This is not the point is, what attitude does this hidden world sect have towards our Dongzhou holy land? If possible, if it can be handled in a friendly manner, let's handle it in a friendly manner. The elders speak up, and most people choose to befriend the hidden world sect of the Wudao sect as much as possible. The hidden world sect, no one knows how deep its foundation is. It is not beneficial to have a bad relationship with it recklessly, so it is better to have a good relationship with it. The Chu Yuan Patriarch shook his head again. Nowadays, we don't even know where the other party is, and we can't get along well. What I mean is to send someone to try to contact this hidden world sect without a path, first understand the other party's attitude, and then decide the next step. Master Chu Yuan said slowly. Yes, this method is feasible. But who should be sent to contact this hidden world sect? Numerous elders are discussing in a low voice who is better to contact the hidden world sect. Upon seeing this, the elder stepped out and said without hesitation, Master, let me go. Master Chu Yuan pondered for a moment, nodded, and agreed. An elder muttered to himself, Master, it's not appropriate to let the elder go. The elder's head can be played with by an extraterrestrial maniac. Letting the elder go would embarrass our holy land. The elder suddenly blew his beard and stared at the elder, as if he was about to take action. Has it been too long since he started? How dare someone openly call him stupid? This person is going to be dragged to the back mountain and buried. Only by upholding his authority can Jingyi be respected. Master Chu Yuan frowned as he watched the scene and said, Stop making trouble. Elder, prepare to visit the hidden world sect. Upon hearing this, the elder let out a long sigh and turned to prepare to leave. Alas, this sect leader still favors this elder. After all, it was the wrong payment request for recommended tickets. End of this chapter. Chapter 10. Master, I understand again. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. Master, I understand again. Wudao sect. After meeting Yi Luo and discussing his plans to go down the mountain to do something, Chu Yuan prepared to leave. After all, time waits for him. After realizing that her strength was still mediocre, Chu Yuan had a desire to recruit more useless disciples. Teaching a disciple to defeat is a small realm. 3 is a major order. It's almost there. He will be invincible soon. Everything is under the control of someone else. At the mountain gate. A gentle breeze comes, shrouded in clouds and mist. Yi Luo escorted Chu Yuan to the mountain gate, where the two stood. Chu Yuan looked at the mist outside the mountain gate and remained silent. Waves of fresh wind blew his white clothes to the sound of hunting, carrying his hands on his back with a calm and gentle demeanor, as if he were a banished immortal. Yi Luo stood aside, hesitating for a moment, but couldn't help but say, "Master, I have already understood a trace of the path left by my master and integrated it into my sword moves. Please give me your guidance. Have you figured it out? What have you come to understand? Shouldn't you sit there every day to comprehend and develop a delusion?" Chu Yuan suddenly had a thought in her heart. Suffering from delusion, can this still be considered a disciple of his teaching disability? Can you still obtain cultivation? It should be counted. That's okay, even if you have a delusion, so as not to feel like you can't comprehend anything every day. Chu Yuan was immediately relieved at the thought. He smiled slightly and said, "No need, I know what you have comprehended. What you have comprehended now is only 1 in 10,000. The true core thing, you haven't figured it out yet. Just look up more and you can truly understand the purpose of being a teacher. Alright, let's leave first. You should have a better understanding and not slack off." After speaking, clouds grew under his feet and he broke through the air, as graceful as the wind. He just sighed in his heart. How long has this been fooling me? I was fooled into developing a delusion. Sigh. But imagination is also good. This way, it becomes more stable. This disciple must have solved it. After the test, we can improve our cultivation. Think of this. Chu Yuan's face showed a smile and he accelerated his speed as he flew down the mountain. As for the falling leaves. After listening to Chu Yuan's words, he fell into contemplation. He certainly cannot have any doubts about his master's words. So he has been thinking about what his master said. Is what he comprehends only 1 in 10,000? If we were to follow the scene he had seen in the past, there were countless chains on the sky, and the Tao was spreading throughout us. What he truly understood was only 1 in 10,000, even less than 1 in 10,000. However, what is the true core of what the master said? Let him look up. Yi Luo looked up and saw that the sky was bright and the scorching sun was shining in the sky. The sun is very dazzling. Besides that, he made no discovery at all. Master, it's impossible to deceive him either. With enlightenment first, one can glimpse the secrets in the transmission hall. No one else thinks his master is deceiving him, right? No way. Yi Luo, full of confusion, walked back to the main hall square and sat up again. He endured the scorching sun and continued to open his eyes. His master will not deceive him. Look up more. He wants to understand the master's intentions. We cannot disappoint our master's expectations. Yi Luojing calmed down and looked at the sky. An hour has passed. He made no discovery. But he didn't have any impatience either. His enlightenment these days, combined with the nourishment of golden characters, has long changed his mood. 2 hours have passed. I still have no clue. 3 hours later the sky is already dim. Yi Luo still opened her eyes wide, gazing at the sky. At this moment. Suddenly, his mind shook. A sense of clarity surged in my heart. He couldn't help but close his eyes. By the time he opened his eyes again, the sky had undergone tremendous changes. All the clouds and stars disappear from the sky. There is only a pitch-black sky. Yi Luo looked up at the sky. As if facing the whole world. A sense of insignificance within oneself emerged. Is this what Master means? The sky is vast, to an unimaginable extent, and he only witnessed the tip of the iceberg, yet he was proud to perform in front of his master. So the master woke him up. Master, I understand. Yi Luowu realized. Meanwhile, in his heart, golden characters flickered one by one. A thought emerged. Manpower is ultimately inferior to heaven. It's better to borrow the power of heaven and use it for oneself. Yi Luo drew his long sword and closed his eyes tightly. The next moment, he swung his sword out. Buzz! This sword, devoid of any sharpness, fell lightly. But the endless sound of swords echoed through, and the sword wind howled up. Fortunately, there is no one here. If anyone were to see the scene of the sky tilting and the earth sinking, they would be scared to death. Because this sword cuts. Not a person, but a heart. Slash the human heart with a sword. Bang Dang Yi Luo swung out this sword, his face turned pale, and he lost his strength and fell to the ground. The long sword clanged and fell to the ground. He wore a satisfied smile on his face. He understood the master's meaning. He also realized this sword move. I believe the master would be delighted to know that he had come to such a quick realization. Yi Luo thought, closed her eyes, and rested. The next morning, Yi Luo woke up from hunger. Put away the long sword, pick up the package next to it and take a look. It was found that there was no more dry food left. He couldn't help but frown. There is no food in the sect. He knows this. Now master has gone out. What does he eat then? Yi Luo was puzzled. Did master forget that he still had to eat? He had just raised this idea when it was rejected by him. Master couldn't have forgotten to prepare food for me, it's definitely not because master forgot. Perhaps it was master who deliberately did this and wanted me to solve the food problem on my own. There should be some animals or something down the mountain. Let's go down and take a look. Yi Luo murmured to herself. Coincidentally, he didn't know how strong the sword move he had comprehended was. It would be great to go down the mountain and experiment with some animals. But according to his perspective, his sword may be unstoppable in the realm of chi cultivation. Building a foundation may be able to withstand one or two. But specifically, he is not very clear about it. But even so, that's enough. I have never set foot on the path of cultivating immortals, but I surpass the realm of refining chi. You should know that he has only been in the sect for less than 2 months and has reached this point. How terrifying would it be if he could cultivate in the future? The most important thing is that he still has several months to comprehend, and what else will he come up with? All of this is unknown. Under the guidance of our master, everything is possible. Anyway, Yi Luo is extremely satisfied with her current combat effectiveness. With the body of a mortal, it surpasses the realm of refining chi. His leaves are falling. Don't lose the face of the hidden world sect. Secondly, I would like to request a recommendation ticket. End of this chapter.